I have a special treat for you today, an amazing treat. This is a 2-4. So today what we're going to do, like always, is we're going to bring a super successful entrepreneur who's built an unbelievable business. And one of the key things of building a great business is you have to do things right. You got to have the authority, the expertise to deliver great client experiences. The second thing you got to do is you got to raise your profile. You have to become a celebrity. And Tim Larkin has done both. He is world renowned as one of the top experts in self-defense. And not only are you going to learn a little bit about self-defense and get a ton of resources for that, but you're going to see how a professional can accelerate their success dramatically. I'm John Bowen. We're at AESNation.com, all about accelerating your success. Stay tuned. You're going to be glad you did.
Breakthroughs. Dig deep. Think bold. Drive hard. Watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
Tim, I am so excited to be with you here. You know, we've had a chance, we've hung out together a number of times at mastermind groups and other things. And you and your workshop, I mean, I've been blown away with what you're doing, not only in the services you provide, but also in the business you're building. So thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, John. It's great to have an opportunity to share information with your people.
Well, you know, Tim, one of the things when you and I first met, and you know, because of the camera angles, I look a little bigger than you right now, and I got to tell you, I'm not. Tim's in perfect shape, and I'm working on it, Tim, but I'm not quite there yet. And one of the things when we were together, we just, you know, we both want to be at the top of our game. I have the privilege of working in the financial services industry, coach the top financial advisors, and Tim was working with so many other professionals and helping them with their self-defense needs that we just started talking in our mastermind groups. And Tim, you know, one of the things I was blown away with, because you know I've hired trainers before, and you know been to martial arts studios and all that, and most of the guys have, you know, they're great people, they're passionate about what they're doing, but they just have a studio and don't make a difference. And you've really embraced the entrepreneurship and quite honestly led the charge. And I want to get an understanding before we go into some of the things that we're going to talk about is how did you get where you are today?
I think probably by never forgetting, you know, what a person, what their initial needs are when it comes to self-protection or self-defense. It's an incredibly intimidating subject. And oftentimes, the cookie cutter answer in the industry is, well, you just got to go through this program and we'll eventually get to your question. And I think by always being open to answering the person's first question of, you know, hey, I'm worried about X, Y, or Z, and keeping it client focused rather than program focused is probably what's made, you know, target focused training myself kind of a unique commodity in the self-protection world.
Yeah, no, I had the privilege, you know, we were together probably a couple of years in different groups and so on. And Tim says, hey, you should go down to one of my classes in Las Vegas it was. And I go, Tim, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And it's a 2-day workshop. It's, you know, it's a great investment. And I'm 5'8", 230, in decent shape, never really worried about it. And I thought, okay, I'll grab one of my buddies and who's really into fitness. He was a captain of the Stanford team, my partner, Jonathan Powell. And Jonathan goes, Tim Larkin, he's the guy. You know, you got to go to this. I mean, he is the number one. And I go, okay, he's hanging out in a group with me. And we went down, and I'll tell you, Tim, I was blown away. I mean, I'm going to be honest. You know, I went down because I respect you. I knew it would be really good, and it was. And what I did like, I mean, the thing, even in the beginning, it was focused on results. It's not this, you know, year-long program. It was just a really focused program on how to defend yourself, so that, you know, if you couldn't get out of a situation, which you always want to do first, if you couldn't get out, how you could effectively render the other person incapable of hurting you. And, you know, that made all the sense in the world. I had been a Navy pilot. I went ahead and, you know, boxing and all that in the Navy. And I go, okay, you know, I should do that. Well, I got to tell you, about noon, I started going, you know what? I'm not sure why I'm here. This is a lot of work. And, you know, and And I'll tell you, by the end, though, I was blown away. It was a 2-day program. And where I was really blown away was not only what I learned, but what the participants, there were, I don't know, probably about 40 or so of us. There was roughly a third women. And unfortunately, so many of the women had, I think, an event happen in their life that had caused them to be there. And then a third were, which was very upsetting, the women part, but also the third were active duty military, and they didn't feel they were getting the training. I'm talking with them, and they're going, I'm not getting the training. And they're in Afghanistan, and they're worried about it. And it's kind of, why would they come here? As a former military officer, I mean, that's a whole nother issue. We won't go there. And then the third guy, 58 like me, they're kind of there, part of the adventure, part they want to know it, maybe train their family and so on. And I'll tell you, we all walked out with a huge amount of confidence, Tim. So I want to thank you for that. And I mean, you've taken this to huge levels.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, thanks, John. You can obviously tell that, not only myself, but my instructor staff, we're absolutely passionate about the material. And we're passionate about you getting it. And what's really been helpful too is I have instructors that want the same result that I want. And what I want to make sure is that in the time I spend with you, that you're going to be better than I was every step of the way. Meaning, we never want you to waste your time. We want to make sure you get the latest methods that we've come up with that get us the best results and take you through that uncomfortable period. Like you said, by 12 o'clock, we had introduced you to asocial violence. We showed you vulnerable areas of the human body. You were having to learn how to, put force into those areas of the human body. And that's all before lunchtime, on the first day. But it was done in a way that, you come away going, gee, probably the most hard to deal with aspect of that is not what we had you do, John, but the fact that it was pretty easy to do. And also, you're actually kind of already naturally kind of good at it. And because as humans, these are simple movements, and we're rediscovering some training that's really been stigmatized. And, putting it in the right area is what I'm so passionate about, is showing you that, when the unthinkable happens, this is an absolutely essential tool. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a criminal by understanding how this tool works.
And I got to echo what you said, Tim, is that one of the shocking things was how easy it was. That once you went through and you understood, I mean, I'm still going through the routine. Okay, what do you take out? Groin. I mean, it is. It's drilled in by the 2 days, and your instructors are phenomenal. And they've got unbelievable training, and they're showing how some of the dumb things that I can still remember how I was taught to take a knife away from someone. And, if you can't get out of the situation, and it's kind of watching too, I think there are former SEALs or, certainly special forces kind of guys go at each other with a knife. And, 60 stabs later, the guy got the knife, but it was a rubber knife. I'm pretty sure he might have stopped before the 60th time. The other hand, when he just doing one move the way you teach, it was like, whoa. And the reason why I want to just go a little bit into the technical part first here is this is so important for all of us. Tim, I want to have you share kind of how you work with executives and so on. But I got to tell, I do not have kids. If I had kids, I would definitely want them to go through this. My partner, Jonathan Powell, I think he already took his daughter through your program. I mean, it's just something at a, parent level, you just, unfortunately, the great thing, statistics aren't that bad of any of us, having an episode. I'm planning on going through a whole my life without ever having it. On the other hand, if it happens, I want to be prepared.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, the idea behind this is, regardless of whether or not events happen around you, this is kind of if you don't deal with this particular subject, this is the 800-pound gorilla that's always in the corner of the room that we deal about. And when it happens to us is when we get in those uncomfortable situations. For women, oftentimes, it's when an unfamiliar male all of a sudden, enters an elevator and they realize, oh my God, I'm alone with this person, and I'm in close proximity, and I really don't know what I do. Sometimes we feel it when all of a sudden you just get that sign, that one individual that you just get that hair standing on the back of your neck, and just that realization that, my God, I do live in a physical world, and I might actually have to take action here, and I wouldn't know what to do. That's why looking at this subject is worthwhile. It's a very base human need of ours, and it's a requirement, and it's something that used to be very natural, especially for entrepreneurs. Successful people, they had to be self-reliant on their self-protection initially, and protect their own assets, protect their families. We've kind of outsourced it in the last 50 years, and it hasn't had the best results for us. It was well-meaning on why we defer to, say, police, but when you have most of the police departments telling you, hey, we are no longer first responders, we can't get there. You want to at least have a good base knowledge of how to, one, avoid all the avoidable, but then the other side of the equation is what we're talking about, John, the training that you went through. That is that last ditch effort that you have when you can't avoid violence and you have to deal with it.
And it is so powerful, but I want to switch gears for a second. So, as your fellow entrepreneurs, we have on the, whether they're on the video or whether they're listening on the audio podcast, Tim, one of the things that makes you so unique, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, not only because you're the number one guy that certainly I know in self-defense in the world, I mean, not just in the US, but in the world, is you're a great entrepreneur. You're out there, really understanding what it takes to raise awareness, make a difference, and then, and deliver a great experience. I mean, I always think of entrepreneurs, we got to do two things right. We got to deliver a great experience. You do. For everyone, whether they're buying a book, they're doing a workshop, doing one of your online training programs, or the other thing. So deliver a great client experience. The second is getting more people to raise their hand to explore working. Well, I mean, some of the people here sell beautiful cars or boats or jets. They do all this great stuff. I mean, I get to tell people how to make smart decisions about their money. I mean, this is stuff. You've got a harder mission. You got to get people excited about self-defense. And right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of alarms are sold when there's an event, we get robbed or something like that. But, that's such a small part of the population. How have you, made this worldwide kind of movement and creating the awareness and then attracting people to you as an entrepreneur?
It came from the initial spark came from when I literally walked into this dingy little studio in San Diego. I was part of a team. I was in the military, and I was part of a team that was looking at, preparing the next generation of officers and military personnel for self-defense. So, for self-protection, putting hands on people, actually having to do hand-to-hand combat. Mm-hmm. I walk into this place and I just see immediately. Now, I had 3 black belts at the time, and I thought I knew myself. I could take care of myself. I walked into what I thought was a slow motion prison riot. And what I recognized immediately was this training, there's people that need this. Everybody who's concerned with their own real self-protection, this is the methodology that gets you that access to that information immediately. And I became, it immersed me at first. Now, I didn't know how to get that message out. Mm-hmm. The instructor that I worked with was great and everything, but I first knew I had to have, yes, I want to have all the technical knowledge, but I was also more passionate about letting people know that this existed. And so you have to have that drive to get the message out. And then probably I realized, I have no shyness in getting my message out to people and telling them what we have and why they should come train with us. I will tell people what will motivate them to come so I can give them what they need. Now, oftentimes, I understand what's going to initially get people in the door are concerns that probably aren't the right concerns. They probably aren't asking the right questions, mm-hmm. but I have to ignore that and answer those questions and start with them from where they're at. So then I can passionately give them what I know they need. So, I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They get very in love with the training or the product or whatever they do, but they get really uncomfortable about letting people know, hey, this is damn good. And you know what, come here. And they think marketing is something that's kind of evil or self-aggrandizing or something. And, to me, I absolutely knew I don't want this person. If this person only has, a little bit of money that they can spend on self-protection, I want to make damn sure that they come spend it with me, because I'm going to give them what they need, especially if their life is on the line. And with that passion, I'm able to put the method out, or the message out, and it just drew me into, what are more effective ways to get my message out.
Some of the lessons from Tim, and I see this from all the entrepreneurs I've had the privilege of working with and interviewing as well, is they first start and they want to be a hero to a group. And Tim is very much that. I mean, he's passionate. You can hear it. He wants to make sure that no one, if they're in the wrong situation at the wrong time, they can handle themselves so that they can come out alive. I mean, just bottom line. Second, as a marketer, and think of whatever you're selling, it's not any harder than what Tim's doing. And what Tim has done, and this is a big distinction that a lot of us as entrepreneurs don't get. We get so frustrated that we have something that we're passionate about, we want to be heroes to, but our marketplace isn't embracing it. And it's because we're oftentimes selling them something they need versus what they want. And it's often those just little tweaks of, finding the market place that you want to be a hero to, and really giving them what they want, but having them walk out with what they need. Tim, let me just go to a segment real quick. And I want to go to the big breakthrough. To me, one of the things you did that to me is revolutionary, that there's a lot of health and fitness people. You and I know a lot of gurus, but they're I always want to lose weight. Okay, that's one of my struggles. I always want to get in better shape. People, financial side, we want to be richer. You were able to use kind of the celebrity part to go ahead and break through all the noise of all the people out there that are teaching self-defense, and to do it at a whole new level. I mean, what was that big breakthrough?
Probably it was the idea that everybody out there was teaching it wrong, and when you get some results, especially with high level people very quickly, when you can give them something that in 2 days, guys with 20 plus years experience say, it's never been explained that clearly to me. I have a much better knowledge now of the information. When you have other individuals look at your methods and say, I can use this decision making that you just gave me for self-defense is going to be useful in all other aspects of my business. That was kind of the breakthrough. I realized it wasn't just self-defense that I was selling. I was actually selling, the idea of personal protection extends beyond just the physical. That educating people first and foremost on how to avoid the avoidable was really my breakthrough. It was the idea of giving people the full package. Whereas usually if people come to self-defense, they fit everybody in that square peg and all those round holes, because they say, well, you're going to do it this way, and they don't really answer the question the person has, which is, nobody comes to me and says they want to do self-defense. And when you ask yourself, what are they really asking? The breakthrough was really made when I realized people aren't asking me how to protect themselves, how to actually physically protect themselves. What they're saying to me is, how can I live a life where I can absolutely minimize the possibility for me to ever have to physically protect myself? How can I live my life better? And when I started answering those questions for them first, it was much easier for them to then seek out the actual training like you went to, John, because they said, okay, great. Yeah. I can take my head off the railroad track here, but I realized in this small kind of, unthinkable event, I would need the tools of actual training. Whereas most people try to do it the other way around. They try to jam you with the physical right away and, tell you that they don't set the stage correctly for you. They don't sit there and say, hey, by the way, what are you doing in your life right now that could potentially get you in trouble? That all you have to do is just recognize it and stop doing it. That's very unique in my industry. It's not the approach people take. They don't want to talk about the avoidable. They want to talk about, actually getting in there and physically, showing that you're tough and all these irrelevant things when it comes to, the real problem. And that's probably what's unique in the industry. I think that's why I resonated with so many different people, was I gave them a very good foundation on when you would ever have to use physical violence to protect yourself. and inoculated them from all the things that they may have been participating in before that could have led to that.
That's great. And what I think you've done, Tim, is I think you did two things. You're only going to go one. One is the message, and you've done a great job on that. And really, you're making a difference in so many people's life. Second part, though, is distribution. You got to get a great message. You got to have distribution. And what you did, to me, that was really unique, is you proved out, the training, the client experience first. Then you went ahead and got the marketing message that resonated. Then you went and joined. I met you at a mastermind group. You're hanging out with all these successful people, and we're looking at you and we're going, how can we not like you? Okay, you're a good entrepreneur. You're really got a great message. You want to do it. And so many of us, want to not only take care of do the training with you, but also get that message out. And you've leveraged that. And I'm going to go one step. Even when you do that and you raise yourself as a celebrity, what happens is on occasion you get knocked down. And I can still remember where you got banned from coming to the UK. I think, or England, I don't remember which, but probably the whole place. And, this is like, most people would have taken it and just, kind of tail between their legs and so on. And I don't know, I don't want to say it was a badge of honor, but I mean, there was a misunderstanding of the message you're bringing. But boy, I saw you take off even more. So why don't you talk about kind of how deliberate, both getting that message out to high profile people, but at the same time doing it with, on occasion, as you become, our industry or our world loves to knock down celebrities, but they love even more when you rise back up, which you did. And I don't even know if you fell down very far. It was kind of straight up from that moment.
Yeah, you have to, the one thing you have to understand is you're going to be, what's great about doing a piece like this, John, is you give me time to explain, whereas it's very easy. You can take one or two sentences that I say, and it's very easy to couch me as a maniac, like the kill guy. And I think what's important is, you're consistent with your message all the way through. You're passionate about helping people. In my case, that's the big thing. I really want to make sure that people get this information. And it's amazing. It's other people end up doing the word of mouth for you. I mean, any celebrity or VIP that I've had come into my life has been through a random client who came into my class. I had no idea who they were. I had no idea who their people were, but I delivered the message in such a powerful way that they had to share it with this, celebrity who just all of a sudden just shows up in my life. And obviously, yes, then all of a sudden, you have access to all their clients and they're pushing you, and it comes out. But I think it's because the idea is I treat everybody the same, because my subject matter, the violence affects all demographics, all political aspects, everybody. And it's really interesting. I mean, I have the privilege of having somebody like yourself in a class, and you were there with probably a soccer mom. Mm-hmm. You're probably there with maybe a sergeant in the service. People that would never interact with each other are all come together for this particular subject, because it's a very base need in a human being. And it gives me a tremendous opportunity when I share this, that I'm not limited to a particular type of demographic. And it allows me to get people who are influential, and they resonate with the message and they really want to help. Actively seeking it, though, is not really, in my experience, where I got it. Hanging out with great groups like, the groups that you and I are part of, mm-hmm. That to me was just vital. It was vital to get myself around those types of people, which is, people would think it's strange. Nobody in my industry does that. They don't go to.
You're the first one, Tim, that I've seen in self-defense, period, in any of the groups. And I'm a big believer. We're talking about mastermind groups. AES Nation is kind of a virtual one, but, Tim's pretty humble. And I don't want to name names, but the celebrities we work with, any of you would be impressed. And they came not because Tim's marketing directly to them, but they came because of the value. But then the word of mouth of having these celebrities do that. And, for all of us as entrepreneurs, we need to think about that. That is just a big part of it. Tim, I'm going to switch just for a second because I want to get everything in, and you got so much going on. Tell me how passionate, what are you passionate about now? I mean, you're out there, I get your newsletter, or get your mailings. I saw your new book. You're on TV. You're doing this. You're doing that. I mean, what are you passionate about now? What, as an entrepreneur, doing what you're doing, where's the passion directed?
John, the thing that's just got me so excited is after 5 years, of putting this together, beta testing and development, we're launching our virtual training center, and the ability to share the information with no degradation of instruction, no degradation of quality of instruction, is so important to me, because the biggest challenge I had was, I have an instructor cadre of about 50, professionals that do this with me, but we can only reach so many people, and the demand is huge. And there's a temptation that other people have done in my industry to do quick instruction certifications and just put out, people that can put out a lesser quality product. And we just would never do that. And so finally, technology is at the stage where I can share this information on a level that was unthinkable before. And literally I can hit all the continents that I have clients on, which is just amazing.
No, I mean, it is. And, I'm going to call this the nail and scale. I mean, what you've done is you've nailed it. You've got a great experience and so on that you deliver to clients. And then you're scaling it up. And technology is just amazing. I mean, we're here, you and I are talking over Skype for free. I have my whole podcast studio technology switching stuff is maybe $3,000 at most. In the past, you and I would have to walk into some, TV studio to do this, and it would cost thousands of dollars just for that episode, and we'd have 2 minutes to explain all this too, and so it's an amazing time, and I'm glad you're doing it because there's just such a need here. Now I'm going to switch to entrepreneurship for a second, and I'm going to go, Tim. I know you travel like crazy, and you're right. I think you are. I haven't, you and I haven't talked in just about a year. We haven't run into each other lately, but I know you were traveling. Are you still traveling?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I try. Well, as long as they allow me in their country, I'll go. But like I'm leaving for Toronto tomorrow. I go up to Toronto. Mutual friend of ours. I'm going to my strategic coach program tomorrow.
Yeah, Dan Sullivan.
Again, I travel is just one of those things that you have to get the message out. There are times where there's nothing that's going to be short of personal participation and face-to-face interaction with people. And so it's just a big part of it. I have to make sure I touch these areas, and travel has to be just part of my commitment, to the product and what I do.
Well, and I think this is so important. I mean, I'm one who I live in Northern California, Silicon Valley. I got a great place, I got a great family, great friends, and I hate traveling. On the other hand, every time I travel, all kinds of amazing things happen. So I've learned that I have to travel. And when you travel, though, I want you to, this next segment, let me play it here, is the app of the day. And Tim, when you, on your smartphone, what do you have? What are you using, for the traveling part of it?
Yeah, the one indispensable, app that I've been using in travel it's really literally changed the way I do transportation has been Uber. Uber has, it operates in just about every city that I travel to. It has just made the ability for me to have to worry about, getting to my training center on time, being picked up. The flexibility of it is just so key. The costs are when you really add up, what it costs to either retain a car or do anything else, the costs are just fantastic. I mean, it's just a great company. The fact that you can get feedback and you can rate, the drivers, and your driver's rated when they show up, the consistency of quality that I get out of it. It's really been key for me because, of course, I travel a lot of times. I have equipment with me, and travel and transportation is absolutely critical. And Uber just has yet to fail.
Yeah, and I'll put it up on the screen here, but I got to tell you, I love Uber too. I mean, They are not a sponsor of this podcast or anything, but if you haven't downloaded Uber and you travel at all, do it. They have earned the business. Tim, you had one other one because we were kind of joking before we got turned on the camera. What was the other app that you had?
Airbnb. What's funny is, John, and you and I were talking, 'cause I'm the same. I've been doing what I do for 25 years, and I committed a little bit, probably about at least 10 years ago, that I was going to only stay at really nice places because I have to show up fresh, ready to train. And, if there's a nicer option, I'm always doing it, whether it be air travel or anything. And so I was always staying in the nicer hotels. I discovered through a friend Airbnb, and
let me put it up on the screen so everybody has it. It's Airbnb, as in November B.
Right.
And Tim, how are you using this? Because this is one. I mean, I'm big on technology. I'm in Silicon Valley. I've known about this forever, and you and I were talking. I'm not using this one. Okay,
right.
So I'm staying at the nice hotels. I have it downloaded on my smartphone, but I'm not using it. How are you using it?
I just recently, recently, I went to New York, and I was there for a week. I stayed in a 2-bedroom tower on the 37th floor in Hell's Kitchen. Beautiful area of town, just all the great restaurants, walking distance to everything, walking distance to the seminar that I was giving. I stayed at it probably for a third of the cost of what it would have been for like the Grand Mercy or one of the really nicer hotels that I normally stay in when I'm there. The internet was, all set up. It was much faster than anything I get there.
Well, and you didn't pay an additional amount for connecting and everything else.
I had doorman service. I had everything, and I found that the quality of where I stay with Airbnb, it gives you a lot more flexibility. And again, the beauty, John, goes back to what I was saying about with Uber is in this technology now, it's that ability for the customers to rate the landlord, everything, are the pictures actually what you see they are? Because oftentimes, I don't know about you, but there are times I booked hotel rooms based on the pictures, it looks like it's a great 5-star place, and you show up and you go, oh my God.
Yeah, you got the only closet that they rent out type thing. And
Exactly. No, I've had great. I've just had amazing places that I've been able to stay around the world. I still stay in hotels. I don't want to say that I don't stay in hotels, but if it's an extended stay, I'd much rather have the ability to book something in a nice neighborhood and have the flexibility of maybe just cooking my own breakfast or just a little more privacy that you don't get that with a hotel atmosphere.
No, that's great. Now, let me go to the next segment here, and I'm going to make a commitment that I will use Airbnb on one of my next trips here. If it's more than 2 days, I'll use it. Okay, and the next is the book of the day. And Tim, I'm not going to let you off. You've got a new book, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to put it up on screen here. And it is great. Matter of fact, I'm going to just mention your first book, where this is where I just got to know you, How to Survive the Most Critical 5 Seconds of Your Life, which I thought was great. But you raised the bar, and you wrote a new book, and Survive the Unthinkable, Total Guides to Women's Self-Protection, that is done exceptionally well. Tell us a little bit about what's in there.
Yeah, this book was really good for me. I mean, I was very blessed. We hit New York Times with it. We did really, really well with it. It resonated with everybody. I was asked to write on the subject of women's self-protection, and it kind of incensed me that I had to write a book on women's self-protection with the idea the idea being like you have to train women differently than we train men, and that was the whole emphasis of the book was. Violence against women is at an all-time high, and a lot of it goes unreported. You just had, recently the Ray Rice issue that's coming up. It just comes up all the time. And really, there's oftentimes either a blame the victim type mentality, meaning she did something to deserve it, or, hey, there's nothing a woman can do. She's weaker, she's smaller, therefore, we got to always make sure there's a police officer by to, protect her. Where it's just ridiculous that women aren't being trained early on how to physically protect themselves in an effective manner. It's not because they're not capable of it. As a matter of fact, female clients learn much faster than my male clients. And the reason being is because when violence happens to women, it's the real thing. Um, so this book goes in depth about, it really isn't gender specific. It's a very good book all around on self-protection, but in particular, it's written for women so that they have the ability to go through and really understand how violence works. And instead of, having unnecessary fear, understand that, hey, there actually is an approach to this that makes a lot of sense and can help me avoid a lot of things, because women oftentimes put themselves in harm's way without really even knowing. And they can learn to avoid the avoidable, but more importantly, they can be shown physically that they're very capable of protecting themselves if given the right information. And that to me it was really passionate. I had a lot of support with it. I had a lot of celebrity support. Tony Robbins wrote the forward for me. He was really passionate about it. And it was very, very helpful, but it's an underreported subject. It's a much bigger problem in the U.S. and worldwide than we like to let on. And that was the motivation.
Well, and it's a great book, and I can tell you not only the book, but also being in class, and I'm a 200 plus pound guy, pretty big and fairly strong, and there were some drills where you would have, a woman, so there'd be basically they'd pick a guy to go through the exercise with, and I was just blown away with how little confidence they had in the beginning, but by the end of that, how so there was no question that I was not going to harm some of these 100-pound women. They were able to take care of themselves without any problem, and it should be required training. Well, let's switch gears. I want to go back to the entrepreneurship stuff. And Tim, what I want to hear is, what is that one insight, that insight of the day that you want to share with your fellow entrepreneurs that you've learned through this overnight success we jokingly talked about before? I mean, there's a lot of work getting to this point, but what's the one thing you would share, the insight that you could help your fellow successful entrepreneurs even be more successful?
Yeah, I think probably is, I'm in a very saturated market, as you said, and there's a lot of groupthink in that market. And I think really for entrepreneurs to really get to that next level, you have to ignore all that. You have to realize that you have a different approach, that you have a product that commands a better price point, and that you're not apologetic for that. And that if anything, you take the time to clearly put your message out on why it's important that people come and get their information from you, or for your product versus everybody else. I oftentimes I see people skip over that. I see them make the mistake of thinking everything has to be short and sweet and bullets, and not taking the time to say, what's gone into it, what is the background behind what you're doing, why is yours different, what methods went into this. Tell the story. People don't tell the story.
People want the story. They want to emotionally connect, and you do that well. Tim, the one thing I want to kind of pull together is the resources that you have, because I'm going to pull up your website, and you've got a whole bunch of resources that are available. I mean, they can spend a little bit of money, buy the books, obviously, and so on, but there's some free stuff available on the website. I mean, what could they take advantage of to learn more if they want to take it further with themselves, their family, their company, their key employees, that type of thing?
Yeah, we've made it really easy. You just go to the website, targetfocustraining.com. There's a small box that you just put your email in, and you will be getting all the free content that we put out. It's not I know I don't have to say it, but we don't sell your email addresses. It's one of those things that truly, it's my belief that, as much as I would love you to come to a training right away, spend, buy all my products, do everything, I really want you to understand what our approach is, how we look at the subject matter. Is it a right fit for you? Before you ever spend a dollar, because I think there's a lot of preconceived ideas about self-defense violence, how and why you would ever get training. We take you all through that with all the free material. So please take advantage of that.
I mean, it's great training. Whether you come to Tim's training or not, it's stuff that you need to know. Let me go, and I want to go into key takeaways that I'm walking away here for all the entrepreneurs from Tim's. Very first part is be a hero to someone, okay? Whatever group, go ahead and be passionate about that. That's number one. And that's all of us as entrepreneurs. We're going to make a difference in the world. We're going to make that small dent, as Steve Jobs talked about, in the universe. You got to decide what part of the universe you want to do it. Second, recognize the difference between wants and needs. And we market wants, but we're delivering a client experience that not only goes to those wants, but really gives them the needs, so they're going to get the results after that are really powerful. A third thing is, when you get it, you get that client experience going well, you nail it, then scale it. Use today's technology to do that. Also, raise the awareness. It's not only being an expert and authority in what you're doing, but that celebrity. Tim, you have been a great entrepreneur, a great mentor. I've learned a lot from you, and I really appreciate the time today that you could share your insights. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And please, if anybody has any questions, if you get any, please send them on to me. I'll make sure that everybody's questions get answered.
Yeah, and I mean, really, and Tim's sincere on this. I've learned a lot from him, and I know many of my peers have. This is just so important. 2 lessons. One, everyone that's watching this or listening to this podcast, make sure that you understand how to protect yourself in today's world. Second, be a great entrepreneur. Take the lessons that Tim shared with you. Your current clients, your future clients, they're counting on you. Don't let them down. Wish you the best of success.